France, a country globally renowned for art, beauty, and refined taste, is not only attractive because of its famous landmarks, such as the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre Museum. It also possesses a complex fabric of daily customs that have evolved over centuries of history. In this video, we will take you on a journey into the heart of French culture to explore some of the most unusual traditions that distinguish this country and make everyday life there different from anywhere else. Stay with us until the end to discover these fascinating customs, and don't forget to support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel so you never miss our latest content. France is one of the countries most famous for its rich and deeply rooted food traditions. For the French, eating is not simply a daily necessity, but an important cultural experience that reflects history, identity, and social values. Meals are often treated as special occasions where family and friends gather to enjoy not only delicious food, but also meaningful conversations. Every detail, from the way food is prepared to the manner in which it is served, carries cultural significance. One of the most iconic symbols of French cuisine is bread, especially the famous baguette. However, bread in France is much more than a side item served alongside meals. It represents an important part of French heritage and national identity. A long-standing tradition in France is to break bread by hand rather than cut it with a knife. Many French people believe that tearing bread preserves its natural texture and character better than slicing it. This custom dates back centuries when large loaves were shared among families gathered around the table. Breaking bread by hand became a symbol of unity, friendship, and sharing. Even today, whether at home or in elegant restaurants, many French people continue to follow this tradition as a sign of respect for their cultural roots. Another essential part of French food culture is cheese. France is internationally famous for its incredible variety of cheeses, producing more than 1,200 different types. Each region of the country takes pride in its own unique specialties. Popular varieties include Camembert, Comté, and Roquefort, each offering distinct flavors and textures that reflect local traditions and methods of production. What makes French cheese culture unique is the way cheese is consumed. In many countries, cheese is used mainly as an ingredient or appetizer. In France, however, it is often served as a separate course, after the main meal and before dessert. Cheese is usually accompanied by fresh bread, and may also be served with grapes, walnuts, or wine. This tradition reflects the French belief that high-quality ingredients deserve to be appreciated on their own. By eating cheese separately, people can fully enjoy its flavor, aroma, and texture without other ingredients overpowering it. Coffee is another important element of daily life in France. For many French people, drinking coffee is not just about staying awake or getting a dose of caffeine. It is a social and cultural ritual. After meals, especially lunch and dinner, it is common to enjoy a small cup of espresso. Many believe that espresso helps digestion and provides a relaxing conclusion to the meal. French coffee culture also emphasizes quality over quantity. Unlike the large coffee drinks commonly found in some countries, French espresso is typically small, strong, and rich in flavor. Families and friends often remain seated after eating, sharing stories and conversations while sipping their coffee. This simple tradition highlights the French appreciation for slowing down, enjoying the moment, and turning even everyday meals into meaningful social experiences. Through bread, cheese, and coffee, France demonstrates how food can become a powerful expression of culture, tradition, and national pride. France is known worldwide not only for its art, cuisine, and fashion, but also for its unique social customs that shape everyday interactions. These traditions have developed over centuries and continue to influence how people communicate, greet each other, and behave in social situations. While some of these customs may seem unusual to outsiders, they reflect values such as respect, closeness, politeness, and the importance of human connection. One of the most famous French social traditions is greeting with kisses on the cheeks, known as la bise. This gesture is more than just a simple hello. It represents warmth, familiarity, and mutual respect. In formal settings or when meeting someone for the first time, a handshake is usually preferred. However, among friends, family members, and close colleagues, cheek kissing is the most common form of greeting. What makes this tradition especially interesting is that it is not uniform across the country. The number of kisses varies from region to region. In some areas, people give just one kiss, while in others, 2 kisses are standard. In parts of southern France, it can go up to 4 kisses. Even the direction can differ, as some people start on the right cheek, while others begin on the left. This variation often surprises visitors, who may feel unsure about how to respond. Despite this, for French people it is a natural and essential part of daily social life. In professional environments, or when interacting with strangers, the French usually rely on a handshake. However, in more informal workplaces, or among colleagues who know each other well, cheek kissing may still be common. This shows how French social behavior often depends on the level of familiarity between individuals. Another important aspect of French social culture is the seriousness of invitations. In many countries, invitations to dinner or social events may sometimes be casual or symbolic. In France, however, invitations are generally sincere and meaningful. When someone invites you to dinner, it usually indicates a real desire to spend time together. Because of this, refusing invitations repeatedly may be interpreted as a lack of interest in maintaining a relationship. Once an invitation is accepted, it is also expected that the guest will attend. Last-minute cancellations are generally seen as disrespectful, unless there is a serious reason. French hosts often put significant effort into preparing meals and organizing gatherings, so respecting commitments is considered very important. Punctuality also plays a key role in French social etiquette. Arriving very late is considered impolite, but arriving too early can also be uncomfortable for the host, who may still be preparing. For informal dinner invitations, arriving about 5 to 10 minutes late is often seen as socially appropriate. Visitors to France also quickly notice the slower rhythm of daily life. French culture places a strong emphasis on enjoying life rather than rushing through it. This philosophy affects many aspects of daily routines, especially dining and customer service. In restaurants, meals are not treated as quick stops for food, but as social experiences meant to be enjoyed. A typical dinner can last for hours, with multiple courses served gradually, while conversation continues throughout the meal. Waiters generally do not rush guests, and people are encouraged to relax and take their time. This relaxed approach also extends to shops, pharmacies, and banks, where employees often focus on giving careful attention to each customer rather than serving people quickly. Although this can sometimes mean longer waiting times, many French people see it as a sign of quality service. For them, life is not about speed, but about balance, enjoyment, and appreciating each moment. France is distinguished by its rich heritage and diverse culture, but it also contains laws that may seem unusual or strange to visitors. These regulations, which range from traditional customs to historically rooted legislation, reflect unique aspects of French society and its long evolution. Some of these laws appear surprising at first glance, yet each of them has a historical or practical explanation behind it. One of the most curious laws is the ban on kissing in train stations. At first, this might seem like a social or moral restriction, but in reality, it was introduced for purely practical reasons. In the early 20th century, long and emotional farewell scenes at railway stations were causing significant delays to train schedules. People would spend extended time saying goodbye on the platforms, which disrupted the flow of transportation and affected punctuality. As a result, the government intervened and introduced a regulation to limit these delays. This led to an official ban on prolonged kissing and emotional goodbyes on train platforms in order to keep train operations running smoothly and efficiently. Another unusual law involves the prohibition of naming pigs Napoleon. This law is often regarded as one of the strangest in France and may sound like something taken from a fictional story. yet it is part of the country's legal and cultural heritage. Farmers and livestock owners are not allowed to name their pigs after Napoleon Bonaparte, one of the most significant figures in French history. This rule was created out of respect for Napoleon, who is considered a national hero and an important symbol of French identity. The law reflects historical and political sensitivity surrounding his name. In French culture, Napoleon is viewed as a powerful and influential leader, and using his name in a disrespectful context was considered inappropriate. Over time, this evolved into a formal restriction intended to preserve respect for his legacy. The rule became even more widely discussed due to its connection with literature, particularly George Orwell's famous novel, Animal Farm. In the book, a pig named Napoleon is portrayed as a controlling and authoritarian figure, which some people interpreted as a symbolic critique of dictatorship. This literary connection sparked debate about how names and symbols are used in art and whether such associations could influence public perception. Although this law is not strictly enforced today, and its practical impact has diminished over time, it still highlights how history, politics, and culture can shape legal systems in unexpected ways. Even now, the use of the name Napoleon in disrespectful or inappropriate contexts may still be sensitive in certain circles within French society. April 1st is considered a special and playful day in France, where people celebrate in a humorous way through a unique tradition of pranks. On this day, children often attach paper fish to the backs of their friends, classmates, and even teachers without them noticing. When the trick is discovered, everyone shouts the phrase Poisson d'avril, which means April fish. The origin of this tradition dates back to the 16th century. In 1564, France changed its calendar system, moving the celebration of the New Year from April 1st to January 1st. However, some people continued to celebrate the New Year in April out of habit or resistance to change. As a result, others began mocking them by sending strange gifts or playing tricks on them, such as secretly attaching papers or drawings to their backs. Over time, these playful jokes evolved into the modern tradition of Poisson d'avril, which is now an annual day of humor and lighthearted pranks across the country. In addition to this playful celebration, July 14th is one of the most important national holidays in France. Known as Bastille Day, it is a major public holiday that represents the values of liberty, unity, and national pride. The celebration marks the storming of the Bastille prison in 1789, an event widely recognized as the beginning of the French Revolution against the absolute monarchy. Since 1880, this date has been officially recognized as France's National Day and is celebrated every year with great pride and enthusiasm. One of the most iconic features of this holiday is the large military parade held on the Champs-Élysées in Paris. The parade is attended by the President of the Republic along with senior political and military officials. It is considered one of the oldest and largest military parades in Europe. Thousands of soldiers take part in the event, along with fighter jets, military vehicles, and armored units. The impressive display of strength and coordination makes it a powerful and symbolic event that attracts worldwide attention each year. Beyond the parade, Bastille Day is also celebrated with fireworks, concerts, and public gatherings throughout the country. Cities and towns across France host festive events that bring people together to celebrate their shared history and national identity. These celebrations reflect the French spirit of unity and pride, as well as their deep connection to historical events that shaped the modern nation. Weekly markets in France are more than just places to buy daily necessities. They are deeply rooted social traditions in French culture. These markets are held in public squares across various cities and villages, where fresh local products are displayed, including fruits, vegetables, cheese, bread, and meat. In addition to shopping, these markets serve as important spaces for social interaction between sellers and buyers. People often exchange friendly conversations, greetings, and polite remarks, which makes the experience more than just a commercial activity. As a result, weekly markets play a significant role in daily life, especially in rural areas where they help strengthen social bonds and preserve local cultural identity. They also support small-scale farmers and producers by giving them direct access to customers without intermediaries, which helps sustain local economies and traditional production methods. Another interesting aspect of French consumer culture is the practice of reselling gifts. Many French people choose to sell presents they receive on occasions such as birthdays, Christmas, or New Year shortly after receiving them, sometimes even the very next day. Although this may seem unusual or inappropriate in some cultures, in France it is generally seen as a practical and acceptable behavior. People often prefer to convert unwanted gifts into money or useful items instead of keeping them unused at home. Consequently, after festive seasons, online platforms such as Le Bon Coin and eBay experience a noticeable surge in listings of second-hand gifts being sold at lower prices than their original value. This creates a dynamic post-holiday marketplace that reflects a modern, pragmatic approach to consumption, where utility and efficiency are often prioritized over sentimental value. In France, the habit of knocking on bathroom doors before entering is not commonly practiced by visitors. If the door is closed, it simply indicates that the room is occupied and there is no need to knock to confirm. In some other cultures, knocking is considered a basic sign of politeness and respect. However, in France, it may be seen as unnecessary or even slightly odd in everyday situations. This approach reflects a straightforward and efficient way of respecting personal space, where people rely on clear visual signals rather than repeated verbal confirmation. It highlights a cultural preference for simplicity, directness, and avoiding unnecessary interruptions in daily routines. Another noticeable feature of life in France is the generally slower pace of everyday activities compared to many other countries. Whether in shops, banks, or pharmacies, people tend not to rush through their tasks. Instead, they take their time to complete each action calmly and without pressure. This slower rhythm is not a sign of laziness or lack of efficiency, but rather reflects a cultural philosophy that values quality over speed and encourages people to appreciate each moment. For example, during payment in stores, customers may engage in short conversations with shopkeepers, ask additional questions, or carefully check their purchases before leaving, which can make transactions take longer than expected. The same pattern is observed in banks and pharmacies, where individuals prefer to fully understand their transactions, documents, or medical instructions rather than rushing through them quickly. This careful approach ensures accuracy and clarity, even if it requires more time. Overall, this lifestyle reflects broader cultural values in France, where patience, attention to detail, and respect for personal time are highly appreciated. It encourages a more relaxed and mindful approach to everyday life, contrasting with faster-paced societies where efficiency and speed are often prioritized above all else. In conclusion, these customs and traditions reflect an important aspect of France's rich and diverse culture, as they combine both classical and modern elements at the same time. Some of these habits may seem unusual to non-French people, but they remain an essential part of French identity and social life. They illustrate how culture can shape everyday behavior in subtle but meaningful ways, blending history with contemporary living in a unique balance. And here we reach the end of today's video. Don't miss the opportunity to follow all the latest updates by subscribing to the channel and activating the notification bell so you can receive everything new as soon as it is released.